for 6 months that we might consider retiring to, just get a flavor for it. So, that's something we're thinking about. But I imagine I'm going to be working from home, wherever home is, for the balance of the year. And the only wild card might be, at any time this year, might my customers want to have meetings? I'm not convinced that's going to happen. So I think we really could go anywhere.
Yeah, all you have to do is cough a little bit and blow your nose on a Zoom. No face to face.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're
No, you gotta throw something out. Are you thinking Florida? Are you gonna, you might want to move in next door to Michael down in Tampa?
No, we're not thinking Florida. We're sort of heading into like the worst Florida months of the year, right?
Yep.
It might be different if this all started in September, and then you're looking, where you could be there for the nicest part of the year. So we've been talking about, do you buy a weekend place, and might that be, a couple hours from New York City? Well, that was when, you thought you'd be in the city during the work week anyway. But that could put us somewhere up by like where Woody and Sally are. It could put you down on the Jersey Shore somewhere. It could put you out, in the Hamptons, for instance, on Long Island. I think, though, that Beth and I are the city at some point next year. The Metro North line is most convenient for her office and for my office. So it's probably Westchester or Connecticut. Beth's a little bit intrigued by the eastern shore of Connecticut, or maybe even into Rhode Island.
Do you have a car in Manhattan?
We got several areas to say that again.
Do you have a car?
That must be the wind. We do.
Okay.
Although I think in 2020 we may have used it 2 times so far.
And you've parked it in Manhattan? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beth found this very affordable garage. So, we probably pay half of what we expected to have to pay. And so that's, one of the few bargains we've found here.
I should share, we lived in a building where we paid for parking, and I paid for parking at work, and they weren't that far apart from each other. And, it was like 25 blocks or something. And I was paying $300 at each end per month for this car to go 20 blocks. It was just silly.
Okay. Now we've wondered whether we need a car. Now we're going to need it, since we're planning on heading out to the burbs somewhere.
Hey, and just
so that's
Daniel,
a big project in the next 4 weeks.
Nice.
hey, the sound is a little funny for me, just in case, Robin, the sound is a little funny.
Is the sound bad from everybody, or what?
Just from Daniel.
Yeah, I think I've got a bad signal here.
That's okay, Daniel. I just didn't want my mom to think it was her.
Oh, okay. No, actually, it's funny. This is, if we go someplace rural, the main concern is we need a robust internet or intranet, and so we thought what we had here was adequate, but most of the time we were using our computers in the living room, which is where the router is. And now I'm upstairs, so it's we're straining the system a little bit.
Well, this might be an excuse to upgrade the router. That it's only, or to get Euro.
That's so. Yeah, so we got we're probably here through middle of June, and so we got to figure out what we're gonna do. But
That's pretty exciting, Daniel. I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot of options and sort of some fun ones to explore.
yeah, I think we want to find some community that could be, it might just be for 6 months, but it could be something that could work for a longer period of time. Where we are right now, we are sort of equidistant between my mother and Beth's father geographically. And so that's always seemed like a nice place to be, easy access to both. But the reality is we're far enough away that we don't get to see either of them that much. And so maybe we are better off getting closer to one of them.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But both they're both in communities that won't allow visitors at this point. So it's not going to happen in the immediate term.
Is Beth's father still in Falmouth?
Needham.
Needham, okay.
They have the family has rented a place in Falmouth for 20 years or more, and so that's why we would often go there for part of a weekend or whatever in the summer.
Well, Daniel, speaking of Needham, I've been in nice touch with my former college roommate, Bets.
Good.
And, the governor of Massachusetts' father is in that complex.
I think I've heard that.
And anyway, and when the governor gives his update, he sometimes mentions his father and how much he misses being able to visit him.
Right.
And that just getting a phone call with a picture that seeing his face almost moved him to tears the other day.
Well, we've been FaceTiming a lot more, since this happened. It's a nice tool. That's what we were all talking about. What are the good things about this pandemic? And one is, I think, more communication with extended family. So that's been really nice.
Yes.
Did your roommate tell you about the incidence of coronavirus at North Hill?
No, she didn't.
So I think there are a bunch of workers who have had it, but where your roommate lives and where my father-in-law lives, that's sort of the independent living part, and there people are fine. There's an assisted living facility where there have been maybe as many as 10 people who have had it, 10 residents, and it may be that if you're in the independent living and you get it, they hightail you out of there, to provide more isolation. But it's a nice community.
Yes. I've never visited, but I'm impressed with what Bets has told me.
Yeah. And how is she doing?
Well, I haven't talked to her recently, but I guess she was just receiving meals at her, left at her door.
Right. That's what my father-in-law has.
She's been confined.
Yeah.
Except I think I think she said somebody from her family was able to take her for a walk. I'm not sure.
Well, I know my father-in-law gets together with some other residents for coffee, or they play pool or something. So, Robin, if we move out of the city, I might be able to play paddle tennis again. That's one thing I haven't done in 2 years.
Well, a couple of things relative to that, Daniel. I have, last month, I decided I had to stop playing platform tennis because one of my legs tends to buckle, and I can't take the chance of falling down.
You don't want to fall on that surface.
No, not as that's what my fellow players said. It's one thing to fall down in your garden,
Right.
but not on that hard court. But the other thing was Stephen last call was asking about positive things that might have come out of the quarantine or the
You didn't listen to this last call, did you?
I was able to listen to it after it had taken place.
Well, one thing I just want to say is that, as we know from tonight's call, that the voice on this end can be garbled. It may have sounded like I said some things on that last call, but you may have misheard them.
We'll send you to HR for that.
But what I think, and I could not remember this correctly, but I think Stephen was talking about if we could somehow learn to play games that didn't hinge on winning and losing, but where you could, just by playing, you gain something. And I think I've talked to you in the distant past about how we play platform tennis in my neighborhood. Is you play as hard as you can to win each point, but it doesn't really matter who wins. And we are always changing partners. And so it's really about playing the game, not about, we don't keep track of who's winning. There are a couple of people who stand out like sore thumbs who do keep track of every win. But anyway, those were just a couple of things. Now that I'm not going to be playing anymore, it's easy for me to have this overview that sounds so positive.
No, that does. Stephen, it seems to me you didn't footnote this story last time when you told us, so maybe Janae does get this from you.
Well, I'm not sure I followed that. I am very conscious of how do I say? It upset me a lot the first time this occurred, and it has probably not upset me as much this time, but just I've been very vigilant about trying to make sure that this doesn't end up in him ending up on the street. So I think as I was at Andover, and doing well there, it looked like I had all sorts of great options. And as I was kicked out of Andover and down finishing things up at Coral Gables Senior High School, things didn't, the horn of plenty had disappeared.
You found it.
But yeah, we got back there, but it's you know it again was different than I think I had envisioned it when I was at this very revered school with all these fancy people and living in the same dorm with John Kennedy Jr. and stuff like that. You know.
Well, and you're having your own legacy, you know, being captain of the crew team and doing all kinds of exciting stuff.
Yes, and I was smart enough as captain of the crew team to pour a beer on my teacher's head. You know, the coach's head. That was just a brilliant move.
It's in the employee handbook on line 6 of page 15.
They didn't even have to put it in the employee handbook, Sarah.
Have you scheduled a visit out to Madison?
They're talking about it. I don't care about going. I mean, we're not sure what's going to happen next year. We're not sure if they're going to school or not. Everybody we've talked to says it's a gorgeous place.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So I've never even been to Wisconsin. I have friends who are cheeseheads, but that's the extent of my relationship.
That's different.
But I mean, everybody that's gone there says it's a spectacular place. But part of this whole thing is that he's supposed to leave the house and start to fend for himself. And it looks like next year he's going to be in the house with us doing his laundry and us cleaning up his stuff and us, the mess. The school cafeteria looks like it's the room I'm in.
So do you have to indicate that he will attend by the end?
They're playing it the same way as everything else. So let me play the game with you the way it is this year at private school. So we're paying our $50,000 a year for private school. The first week that they were at home, they were doing Zoom meetings that lasted for like 6 hours, and they realized that didn't work. And now each class has 5 or 10 minutes of Zoom meeting, and then they're on their own. And so essentially, he has a couple of check-ins, and that is the extent of this school that we're paying this infinite amount of money for. And I just want to let you know that it's somewhat it's how do I say, the cost the cost is pretty high for a couple of Zoom meetings.
Yeah. Did they apply for one of these SBA loans?
I don't know. Everybody did. So I did not. I just didn't think it was right. I mean, it isn't affecting my business. My business is going better.
Good. So do you taste the blue cheese in the drink, or do you just taste it when you finish the drink and eat the olive?
Just late in the drink when I eat the olive, it's got a little blue cheese kicker in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Mom, it looks like it may be getting to be sunset time where you are. Has the sun gone down, or is it sort of, it looks like it's sort of getting to that time of day?
I know. Isn't it nice that there's a rosy glow there, yet it's like,
yeah.
I'm in the mushroom cave here.
So is it dark where you are, Sarah?
It's getting close. It's gray out, so I can't tell if the sun's gone down just yet, but it probably has right about now.
Well, actually here, there are some very rosy clouds with,
nice.
And it's hard to tell whether the sun will slip down behind them. Or not. But it's very colorful.
Nice.
Hey, Robin.
Yes.
Do you have pictures of what I've heard called the Great Wall of Woods Hole?
I do somewhere, but I don't have them with me.
So how did the wall come out? Was it 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst? How did it come out?
We're going to do it. We're going to do it just a second here. I'm going to find them for you, but you keep talking.
It's an 11.
11.
Yes, and that was my first response was much better than I
Good.
expected.
It's gorgeous.
Um,
Now, Daniel, at first I thought you were referring to there's within the town of Woods Hole, there's a wall that when we were younger, that older people would sit on, and you know you were sort of always discouraged from sitting on that wall. You know, it could be a place of ill repute.
Ah, and
So I
is
was a
that
little,
downtown?
Well, and-
I was a little confused at first about the Woods Hole wall, the Great Wall of
Okay.
Woods Hole.
Well, Sarah, also, it was kind of the in group, you know, and I never hung out in the wall. I don't know about you, but Bob hung with the people that were on the wall.
I hung out, I think, at the wall twice. And it could have been by accident. I think I bought a fish taco and just found myself there. But
Okay. Okay, I've got the wall stuff here now. Let's figure out how I put this up here for you.
looks like we may have another person
Oh.
joining.
Oh. Am I interrupting a family Zoom?
You are the family Zoom, Daniel.
you're asking all the right questions.
All right.
Can I get in on this
Oh.
too?
Of course, of course.
I just happened to look at my email and discovered your meeting.
Yes, and featuring Robin.
Okay, I'm going to just share a screen for a second here because there was a question that was put out. So can you guys see my screen?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So this
Beautiful,
was early
man.
in the process, but this is the style of wall. It's sort of, it looks like something that a tank coming in couldn't get over it. And this is sort of before it got in front of the whole house.
Oh, wow. That is serious.
Do you have a finished shot, Stephen?
Let me see. I thought I had a video of it, and I'm going to look, Mom. Because that looks like it's early in the process, and I think I was down there when it was done. But anyway, keep going. I will keep looking.
Where does the phrase riprap come from?
I have no idea, and it refers to things in the middle of a channel too. You know, it's like I remember reading that on charts. Well, Woody, welcome, and I would like to thank you for our correspondence. It's been a long time.
Well, yes, thanks. I was obviously stimulated very much by what you sent to me, including many of the references that they weren't rabbit holes by any means. They were, but I read most of those blogs and connections. There's still a hour-and-a-half video that I haven't picked up yet, but I thank you.
Well, thank you for your interest and thank you for stimulating it by your note.
Okay, good. Well, we're down here just doing absolutely nothing but reading and bicycling on the beach.
That sounds nice.
That sounds great.
Well, it is nice. It's who could ask for anything more, right?
So along those lines, I all of a sudden had an image of this, which is that it's kind of like summer vacation. And I remember summer vacation being this thing where the whole world stops, kind of, you know, all your normal stuff stops. And sometimes you're really bored And you like go to the library and check out books because that was the extent of entertainment when I was growing up. There was no Netflix or these other things, and it feels like this is summer vacation.
Yeah, it does. I agree. But I mostly went away to camp. And my summer vacations as a kid were separate, socially distant from my family. And, but I was encouraged, I think I was sort of encouraged to go in that direction. And the camp was full of competition and sports and crafts and tall tale telling. It was a good experience. I did it for 9 summers, I think, something like some stupendous consecutive number of years.
Wow, did you become a counselor at the camp? Or
I did become a counselor in training, and for some reason I dropped off the moving train on the year that I would have been promoted to be a full counselor. I'm not sure, but Wall Street beckoned. I had these jobs, the Bankers Trust Company, and that was a whole new world.
Well, I think there are a lot of families with teenage kids and younger kids who are now trying to figure out what plan B for the summer is for their children, because a lot of these camps aren't going to be operating this summer. So there's a lot of flux here.
Yeah. Have you heard any innovative suggestions as for a replacement for them? Temporary?
There's more and more talk of games through the computer, through Zoom, and I've heard there's this game Fortnite, which a lot of teenagers play, which could go on for hours. So it might be the kind of thing that fills up big gaps, but it might be a little sedentary for what a lot of parents are hoping their kids might be getting.
Yeah.
You got it. Show Boomer to the people on the show Boomer.
hey.
Look at that.
Can you say
Woof,
something?
woof.
Sure.
Like what?
Well,
Who is
I-
Hey,
that?
Charlie, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey.
That's Boomer.
Yes, hi, Bloomer.
Give me
Woof,
some
woof.
boom.
How old is Boomer?
He just turned 9.
Oh, okay.
Take him to the vet.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with him.
Got some antibiotics just in
Okay.
case.
Okay. There's
And
nothing.
how old are you, Charlie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't we? We're right at
He's still here. He can hear you.
it's birthday time.
Oh yeah, it's Charlie's birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
All right.
2 days ago. Sorry. Come here.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie, I think you just turned 15.
Yeah.
Nice going.
Come on over here, Charlie. There we go. There he is. He's
Nice.
got more hair than I do. So he won't remember this, but there was a time when he was growing up and I shaved my head and then I shaved his head and Janaid's head at the same time. And I had all 3 of us were, just bits of hair. And Amr was overseas and I sent the picture to Amr when she was overseas during a phone call and she started screaming at me. It was one of the funnier things I think I've ever done.
Controversial.
Yes,
Well,
yes, I think you may be right
I
about
can
that.
see,
Yeah.
Charlie, you're hanging on to your hair. You're not letting this happen to you this time.
That's right. You're not getting rid of your hair. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I lost my screen.
We
Well,
can see you.
I lost my screen.
We're still here, Mom.
We
Yeah,
got
we're
you.
still here.
You may not be able to see us, but we're here.
How can I get back?
Lower left.
Let's see.
There, I'm back.
There.
Look at you, the problem solver. You can't stop you. Nice, nice.
Well, speaking of Boomer, Robin, you had I guess it was a faux pet named Boomis. Do you remember that?
Named what?
Boomis.
Oh, Dr. Boomis.
Yeah. What was the provenance of that name?
Well, I don't know that big word, Woody, but Dr. Boomis was a teddy bear, and he was pretty, I liked him so much that he had practically had very short hair all over, was almost, almost bald, because I cared for him so much.
Yeah, that resonates, or that rings a bell.
And well, you had a good friend named New Jersey.
That's right. New Jersey was an imaginary buddy when we still lived in New York City, and he was a good friend because when I would misbehave and was cornered to explain, for instance, when I ate that whole stick of butter out of the icebox, and I don't know, they paid millions for that under the war restrictions. But I said, well, that New Jersey
Had done it.
had done it. And nobody believed me.
Well, yeah, actually, it was not in the refrigerator. It was on the kitchen table, and the stick had teeth marks in it, and it was half gone, like an animal had been eating it.
Well, I don't remember that part.
New Jersey certainly would. I know.
Oh my.
I'm a big fan of butter, just like New Jersey.
I believe that New Jersey founded Ruth Chris Steakhouses, where they put they cook steaks and then they serve it to you with
Guess
butter. Oh,
my mother had a hand in this. Woody, how long are you in South Carolina?
Well, I've been telling people that we're going to leave for Connecticut on the 12th, just a little more than a week.
Okay.
Maybe it's a week from now. And but there is a catch to that. I don't think Sally's entirely bought into that. And the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, is going to give a major address on the 20th of May on just his whole plan for sort of detumescing from this swollen time of fear that we've been in. And we might just wait, to hear that before we embark. But we'll we're gonna get out of here sometime in May and go home.
Well, do
But
I need to?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought I could help you a little bit by sending you stories we read up here about women being eaten by alligators in South Carolina. So we're worried about Sally's safety and we think she may be better off in Connecticut.
Well, I will certainly pass that along to her. There hasn't been anything about that in the island packet, which we get every day, but maybe there's a conspiracy to, keep this stuff under the wraps and
Well,
not
it
telling
was
us.
it was in Kiowa, I think. So
Okay.
um,
The gators are out, but they're pretty logy still. They sort of come out of the water in the heat and lie on the banks and absorb the sun that heats up their blood, I'm told. And
all right.
I see that with the turtles in the pond where I walk around by our place, where they are crawling out onto sticks and just baking in the sun when it happens. Doesn't happen a lot around here lately, but
so we hear, yeah.
Well, and it seems like the South is not as affected so far. So, I mean, I don't know, there's one set of logic that says that you stay away from that. And there's another set of logic that is you stay away from the places where they're opening up right now. And I have a hard time making sense of all these as we try to figure out what's safe and what's not safe. It's very hard right now.
What's your thermometer say?
Who are you asking that to?
You, don't you have a thermometer app, average temperatures or where the fevers are in the country?
We could look at that one. I don't have it in front of me, but
Okay.
I think that warm weather where you are and not a lot of not being close to New York City, there's a lot of good things about where you are.
The governor of South Carolina has begun to loosen restrictions. You can go back to restaurants now if they have outdoor dining, as long as they observe the 6-foot social distancing. And I bicycle on the beach a lot, and the beaches are thronged again. They open them up, and it's and nobody's observing any social distancing at all on the beaches. They're mostly young people who are, not being in great numbers killed by this disease, but it's us oldsters that are the most vulnerable. One of the things I've been told is that if I go back to Connecticut, being over 70, I won't be able to exercise any of my ministry experience or skills. We're just not going to be allowed to do that, I think, by the bishops because we're in the vulnerable group. So, it's sort of one day at a time around here.
how about masks, Woody? Are people wearing masks at all?
Yes, when in the supermarket, I only saw one person without a mask. But that was last week. But now there's this pressure to loosen up, and so I'll be interested to see how it looks this Thursday.
Here in Massachusetts, everybody is still supposed to be wearing a mask if you're outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to enforce that in New York City this weekend. But they said, I think over Saturday and Sunday, which were the two nicest days we've had in a long time, that the police issued maybe 70 summonses in total, which I think you could have found 70 people not socially distancing in about 7 minutes. So
I was going to say you could have found 70 at our pond.
Yeah.
Boy.
I like the idea of riding bikes on the beach. I did that quite a bit when I was in college, and that was always just so nice.
Well, before I go out, I always check two things, the direction of the wind and the tidal cycle, because I'd rather pedal home with the wind at my back than vice versa. And certainly at low tide, the cycling is firmer and you don't get mired in deep sand and kind of keel over and stop suddenly. So I'm getting more astute at picking my moments for these things. But I don't know whether I shared it in the last Zoom, but about a month ago, I did get mired in the sand and had to walk my bike for about 100 or 200 yards on the way home. And suddenly a dolphin burst out of the water and leaped completely out of the water 4 times in the space of less than a minute. Maybe I shared that with you, Steve. But it just was a wonderful serendipitous moment that I've happened into. And I don't know, I can't figure out what he was doing, whether it was just being joyful or trying to get away from an even bigger fish, or I have no idea. But it certainly got my attention.
I think he was having fun.
Yeah, I want to think that too.
Was there just
I-
one?
Yes, but this dolphin was 7 feet long. I mean, it was enormous. It was Shamu or something all over again.
Well, I'm noting that we're quite a geographically dispersed set of people here. We're kind of all over the place, and that's kind of fun. When I was looking for a picture, so I when you post these things different places, as I was creating the YouTube link, I was like, I tried to find a picture, and I had an old album from a visit to New Canaan to your. Wait, what's the name of the town where you live in Connecticut?
New Preston.
New Preston. And I have this album from about 10 years ago that we visited you there. And, you know, I got the picture of us all together, but the process of me finding this was one of recalling that very, very fun, oh no, it's gotta be longer than that. Maybe it's 20 years old. So whenever it was a long time ago. It was back because Dick was there, I believe.
Yeah, we had a family.
You know, I think, no. Maybe you had 2 of them. Maybe there's 2 of them. Maybe I'm confusing the 2. But anyway, I saw these pictures, and I'm going to actually have to send you guys the link. And these pictures are so fun to see us 10 or 20 years ago, whatever it was, having a great time together at your place.
Yeah, I'd love to see those. I think Daniel was there was an early 1980s reunion that we had up there. And Lindsay even made an appearance because she was at camp in Lakeville, not far from us in Connecticut, but she came down for the day. Maybe Michael was at camp somewhere and wasn't part of that, but do you remember that, Daniel?
No, I do. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is a really, really bad hair day for me, which was captured in one of those photos. But I know that Michael and I went to, it was Camp Sloan in Lakeville, Connecticut. And I think I did that through, maybe 8th grade. So when would that have been for me? That would have been like 1974, 1975.
Huh.
And so if Michael, and Lindsay may have gone to camp, a couple of years beyond that. So, maybe late 70s. I just remember thinking I knew how to ride a mini bike on your campus and giving it the throttle, and literally the rear wheel flew out from under my seat. And I think I held on to the handlebars, but this mini bike just flew out from underneath me. I quickly realized I didn't know what I was doing.
I seem to recall that. And I seem to recall everybody else who tried after you had a similar experience.
Yes.
It wasn't just you.
Right.
Nobody learned?
I blamed it on someone named New Jersey.
Hey, Louise.
It was, I only just got the notice that there was a gathering.
Yeah, so did I, but ahead of you.
I guess, but Dad and I chatted earlier,
We're
Louise,
featuring,
walked away.
featuring Robin tonight.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Hello. Oh, hi, Robin. Wait, I must have the wrong view. I do. Now I see you.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Actually, you've got a good setup there.
Yep. I'm also remembering now that Daniel has talked about riding this motorbike or Vespa, I forget what it was exactly. Now I remember that gathering because, yes, Kathy and Dick Robinson were there as
Right.
well.
Um,
And that must have been the first time that we ever visited there in Connecticut.
Hi, Robin.
Hey, Garrett.
Hi, J-Pop.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Yes. So that was the weekend that Louise, who was maybe,
run away.
I don't know how old, not very old, slipped and fell into the pool. And Fred leaped in and rescued her.
Oh, right. I'd forgotten that. All of that.
Well, I think Mom was pregnant with Molly, so I was
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Louise, we were probably like no more than 3 or 4 feet from you, and we had no idea.
Well, I'm no worse for the wear.
But so I think my Fred remembered it slightly differently. He remembered that that Louise, you were wearing those little water wings, these floaty things that you'd put on your arms,
Yeah.
Right.
and that you didn't have them on, and you went into the pool without them on. That you just it was like you tried to go into the pool normally, but you didn't have the
But I
wings
forgot
on.
I didn't have my water wings.
Yes.
I mean, I have no recollection. I've only heard stories, so.
But that pins it down. I remember now the photo, the group photo, Sally is pregnant. And so it was the summer of 75. You're right, Daniel.
Wow. I seem to recall that also I managed to escape sleeping in the barn.
I slept in the barn.
Sorry, man.
No, remember the bats in the barn. Yes.
I seem
Robin,
to,
I think that's where I played paddle tennis for the first time.
Yeah.
It was a wooden court.
Yeah, actually, that's where we got married, where the court used to be. Where
Oh, is
Garrett-
that right? Okay.
At a later time, I could remember playing ping pong with you, Daniel, in the barn.
In the barn.
Yes, that was.
Yeah.
That can still occur. The ping pong table is still there.
nice, nice.
Actually, maybe since most summer vacations are going to be limited this year, a gathering at the tavern, if we're allowed to meet in groups of 10, maybe that has to happen.
Sounds awesome.
We got the space.
That would require an airplane for you, Stephen, however.
Oh, no. I will drive across with this dumb electric car that I have that you have to stop every few minutes to get another bucket of juice to get you to the next stop. So it is
think there
very.
are charging stations throughout the Midwest?
Oh my God. For fun, I drove down to Southern California a couple of months ago using this electric car. And it is funny. You have to plan because it's not like a gas station. You got to go sit there for an hour, and sometimes it's 2 hours because it depends on how much inbound electricity they have to the station too.
Oh, yeah, I figured it was going to be, you've got to be able to get 250 miles or so, be able to do a 10-hour trip on one half an hour stop before people are going to full scale go for electric cars.
Yes, they are fun though. They are fun. Or I'll put it a different way. They're zippy.
Yes.
Ooh,
Zippy.
A lot of my friends here have them, but it's because they have two cars, and the city car is the electric guitar, listen to me, electric car. And the other one is a hybrid or regular gasoline.
Well, I think that's most people. Amber and I are we don't share these things. I have an electric car and I'm doing electric, and she has her gas car and she's doing, or her hybrid car and she's doing that.
We have only one car.
Nice. Let's talk about how you guys work that out.
I mean, I ride my bike to work. I mean, in normal times when one goes to work. And so Garrett sometimes rides his bike, sometimes drives. We're in the city.
So
we have just one car that gets used very rarely too.
Right.
We'll discount for the fact that I don't drive right now, but
Well,
let's say I did.
yeah, I mean, Daniel, how many cars do you have?
One.
Yeah.
But there's also car styles. So like my car's immaculate. Like I could, if you showed up today, or the CEO of some place showed up today, come into my car. Amber's car has got like there's dog stuff going on. There's like sand everywhere. It's sort of like a camping thing.
Is it a minivan?
No, it's a Prius.
Prius.
Okay.
So she and I went totally opposite directions. I've had two Maseratis followed by a little Tesla, and she's just like she doesn't like cars, and she's like, nope, I just want a Prius.
Yeah, probably more with Amara. I mean,
Oh, come on, Louise. Come on, we'll go. We'll get the Maserati back. It'll be fun.
I did get a ride once in a Lamborghini in London. It was about 4 blocks. The guy giving me the ride. First of all, I got in, I had a skirt on, and you get into the passenger seat and you're like this. And the guy went, 0 to 65 on a short London block just to show me what this thing could do. I don't know. It was amusing. It was a good story. I don't need to have the experience again. I like to go fast, but cars aren't really a thing. I mean, we drive a Honda CR-V.
Robin, what sort of car are you dealing with?
I have a Ford hybrid.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as Sterling Moss.
And it's now, Mom, it's a little old now, isn't that right?
Yeah, it is. It's about 10 years old.
So we're approaching the time when you're gonna have to think about another car. So it's actually it's a very relevant conversation.
Robin, I feel like I recall that you drove one of those Volvo station wagons for like 21 years.
No, for 11 years, which was what, only because that was what it said. It would last 11 years. So I really kept it going longer than I should have.
I feel like it may have lasted longer than 11, Mom. Not to dispute this with you, but I learned to drive in that car, and I seem to recall you driving that for quite a long time. That white Volvo.
Yes, well, I traded it in. It had to be taken to the Ford place, flatbed truck. Something's happened.
No, it's just Daniel's making a
That's
little.
Dan. Dan's coming back.
I
Oh,
got,
okay.
I switched from the laptop to my cell phone.
He's causing problems.
Which is not his MO.
It's happened before.
I thought what happened was all of a sudden Louise is kicking her legs up in the air, and I thought there was an automatic filter on mine, so my system crashed. And so now I had to go to plan B. So Stephen, how do I see multiple images on the cell phone?
I'm not sure. We don't see your video, so you haven't enabled video yet.
Oh,
So you're gonna have to do that.
You're going to have to engage,
oh, geez.
to use a Star Trek term.
Let's see. Oh, start video. There we go.
Oh, there you are.
Nice,
Hi, Dan.
nice.
I love those two big lights behind you. Perfect.
IT master. Let me see if I can work on that. There's one.
I like your built-in lighting,
How's that?
but you can't do that long term.
Is that like a Boy Scout thing?
I'm
It'll be
telling you,
fine.
I promise to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I'm all about truth.
Hmm.
All right, let's see.
The best
Ruthie
built-in thing that Daniel has is the Murphy bed.
No, I like Como the other day. His first slide was a Joe Friday from Dragnet thing. Just the facts, ma'am.
There we go.
Oh, I love some Dragnet.
Well, you'll all let me know when you're ready to have Cuomo replace Biden.
Or anybody. How's that?
Did I send you my send up of Wimaway? The liar
Lot
tweets tonight?
Tonight. I like that.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I would love that. I love that song.
All right, well, I will, it's really done in sort of a Zoomy type way.
Nice.
With different people contributing to the song. So I will send it out after this is over.
It's really
Cool.
great production value for a bunch of people who look like they probably were protesting back in '68 as well.
It must be that nostalgia for a different time.
It's a cool
Not
video.
entirely.
It's very funny.
So Louise, what's going on in your world? What, take us into your world.
It's no more interesting than anybody else's world who's stuck at home at the moment.
Oh, yes, it is. You have a young child, which unfortunately none of the rest of us have.
Well, we do a lot of back alley soccer. It's as it sounds. We put up a goal out there on the pavement and kick the ball around. We wander over to our community garden plot where the strawberries are just beginning to turn red. That's very exciting to a 6-year-old and to me. Family bike rides. And I'm supposed to be working.
So, and tell us about that. Is there work happening?
Well, I think I said before that the problem with my job is almost everything I do is classified and I can't do any of that from home. So I do busy work and I volunteer to be on committees because I have the time.
And so weren't you telling us one of your committees is getting back to work in the office?
Yes. Although I think that largely that's going to rely upon city guidance, larger State Department guidance, and DC will, I mean, it'll have to be Virginia, Maryland, DC, all on a downward trend on new cases and various things. Yeah, anyway, I think that that part is going to be a lot of reassuring people who are nervous to go back to the office.
Oh.
So I don't know, I may go, since I can telecommute from anywhere, maybe I'll go up to Connecticut. If it warms up, we can open the pool.
Nice. That sounds wonderful. That sounds absolutely wonderful. That's like a big win.
Yeah, although I think Dad had offered the house to Daniel and Beth and they didn't take him up on it.
Well, what I didn't say, or what I said earlier tonight, is we've just decided that we're going to leave Manhattan.
Oh, you
And,
have?
and so Stephen asked, where would we look? And so we said, you know, we were talking something about like a 2-hour radius around the city. And so I said, for instance, we could look in New Preston. So we're starting to look at, you know, places to rent for some, I don't know, 6-month period of time, and then reevaluate and see whether we need to be in the city or whether, you know, we might be able to do our jobs remotely for a longer period of time.
Right.
So we've got some internet searching to do.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, apparently all residences in Litchfield County were rented already by New Yorkers fleeing back in March. So you might have to wait until things calm down a bit and there's some available.
Well, yeah, we're wondering whether we may be crowded out for the summer season. And maybe that puts us in more of a suburban location. But, you know, we've got some discovery to do.
Wow. How about New Jersey further west than where you've lived? Any attraction that direction? Or?
I think Beth still holds it against me that someone might call Meredith a Jersey girl. So New Jersey may not be in the plans. And actually, the reason for that is both my office and Beth's office line up much better with the Metro North train line, so either Westchester or Connecticut. So, to the extent that we do need to come back to New York City for work, somewhere in that region probably makes most sense at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, I heard this the last time. Stay off the train.
I think we will find that mass transit was responsible for a lot of these cases.
I completely agree. I think it's going to turn out that sitting next to people who are sneezing is going to be the big deal. Airplanes, buses, subways.
Right.
Trains.
I'm so with you guys, but I swear I'm so excited to jump on a T and go into Boston and go to an office.
Can I talk to James?
I'm sorry, he's not available right now.
Can we take away your keys?
No, I'm going to be cool. I'll be cool. Don't call HR.
Well, we talked about this, I think, before, but I mean, at some point it seemed as if people were moving back into cities, that the exurbs were becoming a thing of the past, that especially people with money didn't want these sprawling places outside and long commutes, and that urbanization was the trend. And is this going to undermine all of that, reverse it?
Okay, Louise, I
Maybe.
love this question. I love this question because it's a strategic question. It's not the and I don't think there's a good answer to this right now. We're all trying to figure this out. And I love how Daniel wants to get out of the city, which is I think the right thing to do.
However, I think that cities still offer the resources that we need as we continue on in life.
Want to unpack that a little bit more, Sarah?
Thanks, Woody.
Sorry. I mean, I think I'm grateful for my proximity to my healthcare resources, James's healthcare resources, and the fact that they are 20 minutes away versus 2 hours or 3 hours away.
Yes.
Not to bring this, I'm not trying to bring this down, you know.
Oh no, that was bringing it up.
And I think that there's a lot to be said for living other places, but there is something to be said for being close to some of the these utilities that support our specific needs.
Well, or Sarah, like I'm clearly a city person, and I have a brother. Totally respect Bob. He's up. He's got a 5 acres, goats, chickens, ducks, all sorts of stuff. I love visiting him. I would kill myself living there because I just don't know how to live like that. And maybe I'd learn, which I probably would learn, but just the way I just love being in a city where I can go to. San Francisco has 4,000 restaurants. I mean, that's insane. if I went to a different restaurant every day for like 10 years, I still wouldn't get through them all.
But I'm worried. I mean, the restaurant industry is going to be decimated. I mean,
Although, as
very-
I mentioned in the last call, my husband still feels like he's running a restaurant, but only has one customer.
Are you ordering enough?
Yeah.
Oh, the serving sizes are ample.
do you
I'm
tip
not-
well?
I'm not, oh, yes, yes, absolutely. I'm not suffering at all.
Are you pulling this ordering thing where you're ordering like a double pumpkin macchiato, you know, fresco, da da da?
He lives in Boston, not San Francisco.
I often say, can I have more parsnips on that? And he says, of course, I know what you like.
So Stephen, I think one of the risk factors for cities that we may find out with more data on Corona is elevators and the frequency of transmission in an elevator. So I think you have a nice setup where you're not in a high rise. But I think that, you know, all the people who live in those may be, you know, seriously giving second thought to, you know, is that something that they want to do on a daily basis when, you know, we've got a virus out there without a vaccine.
Or else
So
you get really fit and do those 28 floors yourself.
well,
What about-
or I've seen these things where you're supposed to take the elevator by yourself, or they divide the elevator in quadrants if it's a big elevator and you've got to stay in 1/4 of the elevator by one person. So I'm actually hearing things about this being addressed, albeit kind of in a silly way, but you know. In your building, do you take an elevator?
No, but I think I mentioned on the last call that we had signed a lease to move into an elevator building on April 1st. And late in March, they said to us, you can't move in. And that may end up being good news.
Wow. So things are in flux.
Yes.
Your sister, I heard from her yesterday that she was down here setting things up and unpacking to get her apartment ready. No elevator.
No, I know she's thrilled.
Yeah, but I guess she was just enough ahead of you to get it finished.
Well, I think the big difference was just simply the presence of the elevator, and this building made the decision that, you know, any sort of outside traffic is at a minimum an inconvenience and maybe, you know, putting the residents at risk. And, you know, I understand that, but, you know, you make a decision to accommodate one cohort, you run the risk of, you know, antagonizing the others. And granted, Beth and I, you know, it's one apartment looking to move in versus, you know, 150 that are already lived in. So I understand that, but I'd feel better if they give us our money back, and that hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah.
we've got a little bit of a New York battle ahead of us.
Wow.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So I have a 9 o'clock. I was proposing a Zoom with some of my college friends, and one of them came back and said, let's play Psych instead. I have no idea what this is. I'm about to learn. had to download the app. I'm not sure if it's a psych you out thing or what's going to happen, but that's my 9 o'clock date.
I can't help you. Never heard of it.
Not
Yeah.
familiar with psych, no.
It was new to me as well.
But if anyone suggests tapestry, say no.
Okay.
NFW.
It has
couldn't
nothing
figure-
to do with Carole King.
What's that?
Nothing to do with Carole King.
Not Carole King. I like Carole King. When your two 23-year-old college grads can't figure out a board game, you know you're in trouble.
We've been playing Ticket to Ride, which is you try to race to build train tracks between major cities in the US, and they have these things for Europe, and it's been super fun. I mean, Jed loves it, but we like it too. Proper board game though, not on the computer.
Isn't that a Carole
that's
King
fun.
special? That was the Beatles originally, I guess, but
The Ticket to Ride?
yeah.
I don't know that Carole King did it, but the Beatles did, yes.
Oh, just in reference to the tapestry.
Yeah.
Guys, I may drop off here.
Yeah, well, you guys have been going for a long time, haven't you?
A little
Yeah,
while,
we're sort of
but
Johnny come lately, so.
We totally were. I was feeling though, this is a bit of a, it's almost, aside from maybe Stephen, the Woodruffy Woodruffs in this particular phone call.
Very nice. I don't know what that means, but I like it.
I'm not sure either. I'm very curious.
Well, Louise, relative to last week's meeting, I liked Garrett's reference to A Tale of Two Cities because I just happened to have read it very recently.
For the
And-
first time or
No, just I was supposed to go to a repertory theater production of with a black cast doing it, but it was canceled. So I went to the site and teased out some other productions or performances of it in different ways, and was amazed at what I didn't remember, which was many of the names, but the opening lines and the final lines are classic. And because Garrett comes from France, or his mother, that was wonderful. A
Oh,
wonderful
I will-
reference.
I will tell him that it spoke to you.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was born in France. He was born and raised in France. It's his parents who are from Ireland, but so he's up putting Garrett or Jed to bed. So
It's you can just tell him the best of times and the worst of times, and just amazing, that whole story.
Yeah.
maybe it is
Yeah,
time to reread some of the classics.
What's that?
Maybe it is time to reread some of the classics.
It has it's sort of happening to me for a variety of reasons, but I read London's what is it called? Call of the Wild
Oh yeah.
the other day, and found that so exciting. I was amazed.
Wasn't there a new movie of the Call of the Wild that's out?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Harrison Ford and a fake dog.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, I
wow.
just heard about this. It's spectacular in its fakeness. Yes.
Oh,
And I believe it's free.
all right. I need to do my part of the getting Jetto to bed. So
Hey, let's close this up. So great call. Thank
Yeah.
you guys. Robin, thank you for actually showing up. This is the best. Sarah, thank you for making that happen. I am sorry I didn't send this out earlier, so I think we didn't get other people because of that.
Thank Charlie and Boomer for making an appearance. That meant a lot to me.
want to come say goodnight to everyone?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Hey.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Good
Yeah.
night, John.
And you can see what classy stuffed thing he's carrying.
Talk to us, little man.
Nice.
Talk to us, little man. Tell us what's going on. No jump. Talk to us. Talk to us.
Yes, your cousin once removed wants you to say something deep and meaningful when it's past your bedtime. You can do it. I know. How about what jokes were we making about countries' names? Turkey, Israel.
Yeah, he's a turkey.
Uh-huh. What about Israel?
He is real.
He is real. How about,
Israel. Ah.
I like that.
oh man, yeah, man.
Say yeah, man.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with country puns.
And like, you ain't eating my ice cream. You done there, Everett.
Yep. All right. Good night, guys.
Take
Good
care.
night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Great time. Thank you all. Thank you, little man, even though you didn't tell us what was going on. Next time.
Thank you. Good to
Thanks,
see you all.
Steve.